So settle down onto your back. So we're going to do a few things just to get us moving and easing out a bit on our backs. So particularly if, like Rosie, you had a rather active day yesterday and are feeling a bit, or just depending how you're feeling. So I woke up today just feeling a bit creaky around my pelvis, and I have no idea why. So just sometimes it goes like that. So settle down onto your backs. We're actually going to start with a little bit of breathing, of bringing our attention to our breath. So it might be helpful to have your hands resting on the front of your body. And we're going to be using one of these throughout the class, one of these Thich Nhat Hanh meditations, so that some of this may be familiar with you. And we're just going to use the very first part of it to help ourselves settle and arrive. So with your hands resting on the front of your body, just feeling the movement of your breath in your belly, in your low ribs, wherever you feel it. And breathing in. I know I am breathing in. Breathing out. I know I am breathing out. So just bringing the attention to the breath. And of course, we're always breathing all of the time. But what we're doing now is just being aware of that movement of the breath through us. And you could keep it very simple. You could say in as you feel your breath come in. So sort of say it to yourself in your mind. And you could say out as you feel the breath leave you. Or you could use the whole phrase as you breathe in, breathing in. I know I am breathing in. Breathing out. I know I am breathing out. And it's so easy for our mind to get distracted and start to think about things that's why sometimes the whole phrase can be really helpful. It can just keep us a bit more focused on this feeling of the breath in the present moment. So perhaps 2 more cycles of breath, feeling the breath come in, feeling the breath leave you. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. And then if your legs are long, you're going to bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. And take a moment to feel the contact of the soles of your feet on the floor, and also the contact of the back of your pelvis on the floor. And then start to let your knees tilt a little bit to the right and to the left. That's very nice. Good. And just using this movement to start to feel your body, to start to notice, if there's any creakiness or tightness around your pelvis, into the hip joints. And just if there is, just to sort of start to ease out these stiffnesses in the body through these simple movements. So a couple more times, tilting the knees to the right and to the left. And then pause in the middle and take your feet a bit wider apart. So they're as wide as the narrow edge of your mat. So when we start, then you're going to start to tilt your knees again with the feet in this new position. So the feet wider, tilting the knees to the right and to the left again. And notice what you feel. So we probably start to maybe feel this movement a bit more into the hip joints possibly a bit more into the inner thighs. So particularly the knee that's moving out to the side, perhaps we start to feel a little bit more that we're asking those muscles on the inner thigh to lengthen. Good. And just notice how this feels today, because if it feels comfortable, you're going to take your knees all the way down to one side and have a couple of breaths there. Now you have got your cushions to hand, so you could always slide your cushion under one knee. If it doesn't feel comfortable, just keep on rocking from side to side. So, you know, things are very different for all of us, each one of us. Things are very different day to day. And we're doing this quite early on. So if you're letting your knees tilt all the way over onto one side, is that knee hanging a little bit, Sheila? Are you okay there? Yeah. That's it. You might even feel that you want the cushion. That's it. Yeah. Sort of adjust the cushion or grab another cushion if there is one. Ah, that's it. Well done. Yeah. Have a second cushion. You can always fold the cushion in half if it needs to be a bit fatter. So the knees heavy on one side, and you can let your head roll in the opposite direction to your knees. That's it. Good. And then you can, of course, have a few breaths taking your knees down to the other side. Yes, and again, slide your cushion under one of your knees, or you know, if you've got an extra cushion, you might want one under both. It really depends how it feels today. And have a couple of breaths on the second side. Again, you can let your head roll in the opposite direction to your knees to help your shoulders stay settled on the floor. And then you're going to come back to the center. And you're going to fold both knees into your chest. And hold around the top of your knees or the back of your thighs. Have a couple of breaths there, see how it feels. You can do a little bit of rocking from side to side. And the other thing you could do here, if you like, is to lengthen your legs up to the ceiling and give them a shake out. In fact, yes, do that, unless the prospect sounds really, really ghastly. Take the legs up, take the arms up. Good. And then you're going to bring your feet back down to the floor. And this is when you're going to use your cushion, because what I'd like you to do is sink into your feet. You're going to lift your pelvis off the floor and slide your cushion under your pelvis. That's it, good. And then with your cushion under your pelvis, fold your knees back into your chest. And then take your legs up to the ceiling again and just see how that feels. So usually if we have a cushion under our feet, and Nigel, you don't need to do too much of that. When you've got a cushion under the back of your pelvis, it's usually a little bit easier to take the legs up. And all I'd like you to do here, a bit of shaking out and maybe a bit of scissoring your legs. But Nigel, maybe for you, just stay with your knees folded into your chest. That's it. And bring your feet back onto the floor at any point. Yeah, so a little bit of scissoring the legs with your pelvis. Gosh, it's just started raining really heavily here. I said to my kids they didn't have to go to the park when I was teaching today because it was a bit wet, so I'm very pleased I didn't send them. Probably feeling terrible. Okay, now fold your knees back into your chest. Keep one knee folded into your chest and lengthen the other leg out on the floor. So this can feel really nice with the cushion under you. So one knee's folded into your chest, that's it. The other leg's lengthened out on the floor. And with this cushion under your pelvis, it just gets, your hip opens a little bit more in the long leg side. So have a few breaths there. And just, yeah, let your legs be heavy and passive. So you've got one long leg on the floor, the other knee folded into towards your chest. And in your own time, you can swap your legs over. So bending the one that's long, lengthening out the one that's bent. And see how it feels on the other side to have a few breaths here. And again, there's that nice feeling of perhaps opening out a bit more through the front of the hip joint of the long leg. And then you can see from here, how does it feel to lie with both legs long, with that pelvis under the back of your that cushion under the back of your pelvis. So it's opening a bit through the front of the pelvis. If your lower back doesn't like it, you might need to adjust where the cushion is, so to make sure it's under your pelvis more than the lower back. Good, but it can actually feel really nice here. So both legs long on the floor for a moment. That's it. Very nice. And then from here, so two things, you could have another couple of breaths with your legs long, or if you wanted to have a couple of breaths with your knees folded into your chest with the cushion still under the back of your pelvis, because this is quite nice as well. It lengthens out your lower back a bit more, because it sort of tips your pelvis towards your head. And then whenever you're ready, if you're enjoying having the cushion under your pelvis, have another couple more breaths there. Whenever you're ready, you're going to bring your feet back to stand on the floor, and you're going to slide the cushion out from under your pelvis. And just see then, how does it feel to lie with the back of your pelvis on the floor and your knees bent? So come back to lying without the cushion there. And often I find that my pelvis can really feel very settled on the floor. And then come back once more with your feet standing on the floor, to letting your knees tilt to the right and to the left. Good. Very nice. And so from here, what we're going to do is, and you may want to lie long first, is we're going to roll over onto our bellies, and we're just going to do a little bit of breathing on the belly, that's all. So yes, maybe lie long, and then see if you can roll onto your belly, disturbing yourself as little as possible. And when you arrive on your belly, just lie however you're most comfortable. So whatever you would like to do with your arms, but you want to be able to lie down. So as if you were going to go to sleep. That's it, just lie on your belly. You could give your pelvis a bit of a wiggle to help you settle. And just, yes, just think about settling down on your belly. We're not going to sleep, but I just want you to see, how does it feel to come back to your breathing? Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. How does this feel on your belly? Maybe for 3 more cycles of breath. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. And as you focus your attention on your breathing, where do you feel the breath in your body when you're lying on your belly? And sometimes I find when I'm lying on my belly, I feel my breathing more in the back of my body, in my back ribs. So maybe have 1 more cycle of breath here. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. And then from lying on your belly, you're going to fold yourself back into child pose. And see how it feels to have just maybe 2 or 3 cycles of breath in child pose. Let your elbows rest on the ground. That's it, that's nice, good. Good, let the breath come in, let the breath leave you in child pose. And so from child pose, we're going to come on to hands and knees. We're going to do a little bit of well, the first thing I thought we would do is a little bit of tail wagging. So when you're ready, coming from child pose onto hands and knees, maybe seeing how it feels to start to imagine you have a tail and that you're wagging that tail to the right and to the left. And as you're doing your tail wagging or your tail swishing, if it's a fish's tail, you're just sort of seeing how does that tail wagging movement travel up through the rest of your body. So sometimes I feel I get a bit of a click higher up in my spine. What do you feel through the right side of the body and the left side of your body? And from your tail wagging, you can also move on into some cat movements. So that might be what your body really feels it needs today, a bit of rounding up and a bit of dipping down. So we're really coming now into some movements for the spine. And if we're feeling a bit stiff, anywhere through the middle of ourselves, and these movements just start to ease out some of that stiffness. So in your own time, you can do some more cat. You can do a bit more tail wagging if you're very clever. You can put the two together. I can never do that. I have to keep it quite simple. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to come up into a dog pose. If you feel that you need to give your hands a little shake out before you come into dog, you can do. Sit back over your heels for a moment. And then whenever you're ready, tucking your toes under, this is with your hands back on the floor, tucking your toes under, rocking your hips back over your heels, coming up into dog pose and seeing how it feels. Now, I thought in this first stop, in the dog poses we do to start with, we're going to focus a little bit on the feet. So in this first dog pose, I'd like you to be bending one knee, bending the other knee, coming up high onto the ball of one foot and then the other foot. So just that, yeah, using dog pose as an opportunity to work into the feet. Good. Bending one knee, bending the other. So how does it feel today to be flexing those toes in this way? That's nice. And whenever you want to come out of dog pose, you could fold down into child for a breath or two, just to take the weight off your arms. Oh, and in fact, from dog pose, we're going to be coming into lunge. So that's, that takes the weight off our hands. So when you've had a breath or two in child pose, you could come on and bring one foot forwards into lunge. So you could just be doing a very simple lunge where your foot is between your hands. And you're giving the weight of your pelvis down to the ground. You could be doing a bit of easing in and out of lunge if you like. So you could untuck your back toes. You could do a little bit of rocking forwards and back. So lunge is obviously, as you know, good for releasing this sort of tightness in the front of the back leg hip joint. So we started off that process on our backs with the cushion under the pelvis. So it's really up to you whether you stay in lunge for a few breaths, whether you rock in and out. We'll swap sides in a moment. So whenever you like, you can just on hands and knees, you can come out of that side of lunge. You can bring the other foot forwards, see how it feels on side two. And, all these, how our body is feeling today depends on so many different factors, as you know, how well we slept, what we were doing yesterday. So you do a bit of rock easing in and out with your back foot flat, if you like. And of course, the other things that are going on in our lives. Staying in lunge, if you like, for a few breaths. We're going to come on into another dog pose. And I think with this dog pose, we're actually going to be coming up into standing, but we will be doing a bit more footwork in the dog pose. So you could go into dog pose straight from your lunge, or you could come onto hands and knees. Give yourself the opportunity to plant your hands down, tucking your toes under, exhaling, rocking your hips back over your heels. Now, in this dog pose, I was thinking you could do a bit of rolling onto the top of your toes. So through the 1 foot at a time, please, through the rolling onto the tip of your toes and through onto the top of your toes. So you're doing a bit of lengthening out through the front of your feet, front of the ankle. And we're going to carry on with this more in standing. But yeah, it's really good. Because often if we're feeling tight in the front of the hip joint, we can also be feeling tight in the front of the ankle as well. And I think if you've been doing walking, running, cycling, any of these things, it's really good to lengthen out through the ankles. Good. From your dog pose, you're going to walk your hands into your feet so you end up in a forward bend. And once you arrive in that forward bend, all of the weight in your feet. If your lower back needs some support, bend your knees, rest your elbows on your thighs, let your head go. And you could just have a couple more breaths there, giving your head, giving your arms to the floor, or of course with supporting yourself on your thighs with your elbows on your thighs. And then as you exhale, rolling up into arriving in your standing. I have a feeling that the bin lorry is about to arrive, the Monday morning noise of the bin lorry. So just briefly, today we're actually going to be doing a variation of moon salute today, but we'll just start with we're just going to start with a little bit of balancing first of all. So first, yes, let's just start with this loose, easy swinging twist. Well, they very kindly empty my bin, and then it will quieten down again. So just, swinging the arms, slapping the hands onto the side of your body. And seeing how this feels today. Let your feet come along with this movement so we feel the whole of ourselves is involved in the movement. Okay, a couple more times. And we'll then let that go. And we're going to come back to a bit more work into our feet. And so the first thing I would like you to do is this one where we quite often do this one. Haven't done it, I think, for a couple of Mondays, where we come onto the balls of our feet, up and down. Okay, so the bin ban has gone now, so should quieten down a bit. So coming up onto the balls of your feet, coming back down again. And just doing this a few times and seeing how it feels today. And then, if it feels okay, if you feel that you can stay there for a few breaths and balance, you could then float your arms up. I think my head's getting cut off, so I'll move back a little bit. You could then balance. Drop your shoulders. Just, see how that feels. Good. And then coming back down, we're going to do a bit more of this in a moment. Coming back down, today we're going to be alternating this with, and this, you know this from another balance sequence, shifting your weight onto one foot and sliding the other foot back. So like we did in dog pose, you can then flip onto the top of your toes. And you could then see what it's like to straighten that back knee a bit. That's one option. Or you can also sort of bounce your toes on the floor. But we're doing this particularly today just to find this length through the front of the ankle. And do this on both feet. So then shift your weight back onto the foot that was behind you. Slide the other toes back behind you. Flip onto the top of the toes. And you can see how it feels to straighten that back knee a bit more. Sometimes my foot cramps when I do that. So we're lengthening out the front of the ankles now and the top of the toes. Okay. And then just let yourself roll back, both feet back on the floor. And I think, are we rolling down into a forward bend? Yes, let yourself roll down into a forward bend. Let your head go, let your arms go. Obviously, rest your elbows on your thighs if you need to do that. And then let a breath come in, let a breath leave you, roll back up into standing. Sinking down into your heels, sit back up in standing. And just take a moment to come back to maybe bringing the hands onto the front of your body. You could have a hand on your belly, a hand on your chest. Come back to that. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. I'm just going to slightly adjust my screen. My head's getting cut off. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. So trying to feel that movement of your breath in your body in standing. Perhaps one more cycle of breath. Feeling the breath come in. Feeling the breath leave you. And then we're going to come back to that little balance where we come up onto the balls of our toes, moving our arms. But this time we're going to coordinate the movement with our breathing. So you can, I think, do it with me quite simply to start with. So as we breathe in, we're going to come up onto the balls of our toes and bring our arms up. Good. And then as you exhale, bring your arms down in front of you, bring your heels down. So we'll do that, very nice. We'll do that twice more. So breathing in, coming up onto the balls of your toes, your arms come up. Exhaling, bring your arms down in front of you as your heels come down. Good. And once more. So what we're doing now is this moving with our breath. Good. And then one more time, coming down. Now, this time we're going to stay in the balance and bring our arms down. So we stay balancing for a cycle of breath. So again, breathing in, come up. And then this time stay balancing as you exhale and bring your arms down. So the arms come down, but you stay on the balls of your feet. Breathing in, bring the arms up again. And then this time the heels and the arms come down together. So we'll try this twice more. So breathing in, come up onto the balls of your feet. And then exhaling, bring your arms down, but stay up in the balance. Breathing in, bring the arms back up again. And then exhaling, bring your arms and your heels down. Good. So one more time. Breathing in, come up into the balance. Stay balancing. Exhale, bring your arms down. Breathing in, bring your arms up. And then exhaling, arms and heels down together. Good. And then again, come back to this movement where we shift our weight onto one foot. We slide the other foot back behind us. We flip onto the top of the toes. We can straighten that back knee maybe, keeping quiet through the front of the body. Good. So I've got my hand on my belly because sometimes when we straighten that back knee, we tend to sort of tip forwards or our front ribs get a bit busy. So try the same thing on the other side. Shift your weight onto the other foot. Slide your toes back behind you, flip onto the top of your toes. And then you can see what's it like to straighten that back knee. Good. Okay, and then one more time, I think coming down into a forward bend. So both feet back on the floor, let a breath come in, exhaling, rolling down into your forward bend, having a breath or two there. Good. If you want to do any of those little weeping willow movements, moving from side to side, you can do, sweeping your fingertips around the front of your feet. We're going to be coming on now into sort of moon salute sequence with some variations. So you can sink down into your heels, you can roll up into standing. Now, for moon salute, you want to be facing, be in the middle of your mat, facing the long edge of your mat. And starting off, and it's interesting, so I remember this now, I can't see everyone's feet, but for some reason, when we do this, usually everyone takes their feet wider apart, but you want your feet hip width apart and parallel to start with. And you're going to bring your hands into prayer pose. So yes, if you feel that you need to adjust your mat or your screen, you don't have to. But yeah, in the middle of your mat, facing the long edge of your mat. So hands touching in prayer pose. Let a breath come in. As you exhale, take your arms down and then up. And then here, we're just going to do a bit of that reaching up through one arm and then the other. So I think one of the reasons this sequence is called moon salute is it has quite a lot of side lengthening movements in it. So reaching up through one arm, reaching up through the other. As you reach through one arm, as I always say, shift your weight into the reaching leg, reaching arm, leg, side. I think you know what I mean. Good. And then from here, let yourself sweep down into a forward bend. Give your weight down to the floor through give the head, the arms down towards the floor. That's nice. Bend your knees a little bit, Rashmi, and just be floppy. That's it. Let the arms be all floppy. Give them a shake out. Good. Very nice. Yes. And then let a breath come in as you exhale, sink down into your heels, roll back up into standing. Let a breath come in, and then as you exhale, take your arms up again. And you're going to reach up, so with your right arm, and then you're going to catch your left hand around the right wrist. So you're sort of drawing yourself up and over to the left. The left hand is drawing the right arm up and over. And again, you could shift your weight into your right foot. And then reach up with your left arm, catch your right hand around your left wrist, draw yourself up and over to the right. And then release those arms. And now you are going to take your feet a bit wider apart on the mat. Not massively wide, just a bit wider. Maybe as wide as the narrow edge of your mat, possibly not that wide. And then come into these side lengthening movements. So one arm is heavy and floppy, the other arm comes up. We can go from side to side a few times. Releasing one arm. Good. Now, most of you have done these sort of moon salutes with me before, and the next bit is the bit which always can feel a little bit strange. So when we finished our side lengthening, what we do is this funny movement, and I think turn so you're facing me, if rather than away from me, say Rashmi and Aditi. No, not for them, don't turn just yet. Stay where you are, go back to where you were. What you do from here is you turn, so one foot you swivel on the heel, the other foot you swivel on the ball of the foot. So you're turning your feet to face one direction. So what I'm saying is turn so you're facing me rather than away from me, yeah? That's it. So both feet. So we've ended up in this position, and you might, any little adjustments you need to make now are fine. You've ended up so both feet are facing forwards. You've still got your hip width distance. So have a look down at your feet, because Aditi, your feet look like you haven't got a huge amount of hip width distance and you might feel a bit wobbly. So the first thing we're going to do is just a little bit of shifting our weight forwards and back, into our front foot, into our back foot, to help us settle down here. So this is the sort of slightly funny thing with moon salute. We have to get used to this sort of swiveling from side to side. Okay, and then you're going to settle down. Maybe hands on your pelvis. See if you can drop your weight down through your legs into your feet. Feel your hands on your pelvis. We're going to do some little twists. The pelvis is not going to move, hopefully. Hands onto your ribs. Can you turn a little bit? Just from the waist up with your hands on your ribs. So this is familiar, I hope. Hands on your shoulders. Can you do the same thing? You're turning a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left, but you're not moving below your waist. Good. And then hands on the crown of your head. Good. A little bit of turning to the right and to the left. Very nice. And then what I'd like you to do is stop your turning, release your arms, and you're going to see how it feels to fold forwards here. bending your front knee if you like. So just letting yourself come down into a forward bend. Keep your back heel anchored into the ground, but let your front knee bend as much as you like. That's it. And let your head flop forwards. Good. Good. So a lot of these, yeah, you could rest, if you like, you could rest your elbows on your front thigh, your forearms on your front thigh, or you could flop all the way down to the floor. And then let a breath come in, and as you exhale, sink into your heels, come back up into standing. And then what we're going to do is turn our feet back to the center. So the front foot, heel of the front foot, ball of the back foot, roll back to the center. And then you're going to turn the other way. And we're going to do the same things. So rotate on the heel of the front foot, the ball of the back foot, turn to face the other direction. Now, again, have a look at your feet. You want hip width apart, sideways, so you don't feel like you're on a tightrope. And you want to feel quite steady. So let's just do the bit of this rocking forwards and back here. So I think the main point with this moon salute is you don't have to keep your feet stuck where they end up. You can move them around. So a little bit of rocking forwards and back, and then settling down through both footprints. Hands on the pelvis, just having a breath or two. So checking that your feet are both pointing forwards, that you feel steady in this position, you've got sideways hip width distance. And then bring your hands onto your ribs and do a little bit of turning to the right and to the left, but your pelvis should not be moving. It's just your ribs, yeah? Your ribs and your shoulders, sorry, not just your ribs. Turning to the right and to the left, and then hands onto your shoulders. Again, can you turn to the right and to the left, but only from the waist up? And then what about if you bring your fingertips onto the crown of your head? Can you turn to the right and to the left, but only from the waist up? Good. And then release your arms. You can let your front knee bend, and you're going to do that forward bend, folding down over your front leg. You could rest your forearms on your front leg, or you could fold all the way down. So that's it. Keep your back heel sinking into the ground. Good, and you're just trying to feel steady here through your feet. So that's it, Rashmi. Don't take your weight into your hands. Keep your weight in your back heel. Good. Good. So in this forward bend, we're bending forwards, but our weight still stays in our feet. Let a breath come in, sink into the heels, very nice, roll back up into standing. Good. And then from here, we're going to swivel our feet back to face forwards, so facing forwards, and then go back to the first direction again. And let's settle ourselves down here. Okay, so just perhaps a little bit of, yeah, so turning to face in the first direction. Good. So both feet facing forwards. You do a little bit of rocking to settle yourself down. And again, one of the things I really like about moon salute is that as well as lots of side bends, it has lots of twists. We're going to do a slightly different twisting movement here. We're still trying to leave the pelvis where it is. So you could watch for a moment. What we're going to do is as we exhale, is bring our arms up. And then we're going to open out this way and open out in both ways, open out into a twist, just sort of moving like that. So in the center, you can let a breath come in. As you exhale, you can take your arms up. And then trying to move just from the waist out, open your arms out and turn in one direction. So your arms come down to shoulder height. And you're either turning towards the back leg or the front leg. And then come back to the center, turn back to face forwards, and then turn the other way, bring your arms down to shoulder height and see how that feels. It can feel quite strong in the shoulders, so obviously Aditi, don't push anything. And then come back to the center, bring the arms up, and then release your arms. And then you're going to bring your hands into prayer pose at your breastbone. And you're going to bend your front knee. So we're going to be coming forwards here into the balance. We're going to first of all, you can always watch me if you like for a moment, we're going to first of all come to here where we're balancing on a bent front knee and the back leg is bent. And then we're going to start to lengthen our back heel back behind us and letting the standing knee straighten out of it. Yeah. So this one, which we have done quite a bit. So in this position, hands at the breastbone, bending the front knee, bending the back knee. We're in this sort of exaggerated runner's position. And then you start to reach back behind you with your raised leg. Good, very nice. And maybe that sort of tilting, beautiful, well done. Very nice, tilting forwards a little bit, that's it. That's it, Rosie, good, that back leg, that's it, can come up a little bit more, very nice. And then see, like with any balance, can you control your movement out of it? Sometimes we topple out of it and that's fine. Good. And then swivel back to the centre, both feet facing forwards. Good. Back to the centre and then return the other way. So we need to do both of these movements facing the other way. So turning your feet. So some of you will be turning away from me, which is fine because you know what you're doing now. That's it, back to the centre, turning your feet to face the other way on your mat. A little bit of rocking forwards and back if you like, just to help you settle down through your feet. And then the first movement we're going to do is that twisting movement. So settling down, maybe bringing your hands onto your pelvis. So we're trying to leave our pelvis where it is and move in the upper part of our body. So arms down by your sides. As you exhale, you're going to bring your arms up to the ceiling. You can let a breath come in there. And then as you exhale, turn in one direction and bring your arms down to shoulder height. Good. Let a breath come in, and then as you exhale, come back to the centre, bring the arms up, come back to the centre. And then exhale, turn in the other direction, bring your arms down to shoulder height. And then as you exhale, come back to the centre, bring your arms up, and then release your arms. And then from here, the hands come into prayer pose at your breastbone. You're bending your front knee. Good. And then you're going to be shifting your weight onto that front foot, letting the back knee bend. So you're in your exaggerated runner's position. See if you can find your balance there. And then as you exhale, start to reach back into your back heel, letting the back knee straighten, letting the standing knee straighten but not lock. And of course, you're tilting forwards a little bit. Good. You might just, very nice, lovely. You might just have a breath or two there. Lovely. And then just come back down, have a little shake out. We've reached, coming back to face the long edge of your mat, we've reached the end of this first part of moon salute. And the last thing we do is to come into a wide forward bend. So make sure you're facing the long edge of your mat, sinking into your heels as you exhale, folding forwards. So your knees can be a little bit bent if you like, just keep your weight well in your feet and your heels. And have a couple of breaths there, I just have to grab a tissue. So if you're happy in your wide forward bend, have another couple of breaths there. And when you're ready to come out, sink into your heels, roll up into standing. And might be a little chance to have a little drink of water, and then we're going to go and do another, we're going to come on and do another cycle of our moon salute, which takes us into some slightly different movements. So good chance for a little drink. And then again, your starting point is going to be with feet hip width apart, facing the long edge of your mat. So I'm just thinking it might be helpful if I get rid of my second mat, so it's not confusing anyone. So feet hip width apart, facing the long edge of your mat, bringing your hands into prayer pose. So just take a moment to settle down, feeling your feet on the floor. And then letting a breath come in As you exhale, take your arms down and then up. Now this time here, if you want to, you can come into a little standing back arch. So just letting the pelvis come forwards, letting the gaze come up. And then from there, you can roll down into a forward bend, let your head go, let your arms go. Have a couple of breaths. And then letting a breath come in, exhaling, sinking down into your heels, rolling back up into standing. When you're back in standing, that's it. You're going to breathe in and take your arms wide. And you're going to exhale and give yourself a hug with your right arm on top, just so you don't have to worry about which arm is which. Good. And then from here, you don't need to move. I'm just saying, go coming on into your eagle arms. Yes, so this favourite. And in your eagle arms, do a little bit of a twist here. So again, can you leave your pelvis steady? Can you move your elbows a little bit from side to side? Good, and we're also going to go forwards into a forward bend here. So from the feet being hip width apart, you can then take your feet a little bit wider apart, and then you can sink into your heels and fold forwards with your arms in eagle arms. Now, at any point you can release your arms, or if you like having your arms crisscrossed like this in your forward bend, keep them like that. So it's entirely up to you. And when you release your arms, you can just let the arms flop down to the floor. Have a couple of breaths sinking down into your heels, letting your head go. Good. Then letting the breath come in as you exhale, sinking down into your heels, rolling up into standing. When you come back into standing, step your feet so they're hip width apart again, because they're a little bit wider for a moment, weren't they? And then let a breath come in, take your arms wide. Exhale, give yourself a hug. And then come with the left arm on top. So come into eagle arms with your left arm on top. And then again, we can do that little twist. So we leave our pelvis facing forwards and we turn our elbows to the right and to the left. And the shoulders come along and the head can come along in this little twist. And then we can step the feet a bit wider apart. Not massively wide, just maybe wide as the narrow edge of your mat. Exhaling, sinking into your heels, folding forwards with the arms in. Eagle arms. Again, you can release your arms whenever you want to, or you can keep them in this crisscrossed position. When you release your arms, let them flop down to the floor. Good. Feel the weight in your heels. Let a breath come in. As the breath leaves you, roll back up into standing. When you arrive up in standing, keep your feet this little distance apart, and then come into your side lengthening movements. Reaching up through one arm, the other arm's heavy and floppy. Again, we can shift our weight into the reaching arm side. Find a bit of extra length through the side of the body. And then we're going to be coming back to that fun movement. So from here, we're going to be swiveling on the ball, the heel of the front foot, the ball of the back foot, to come and face the end of our mat. The short end of the mat, that's it. And you can be doing a little bit shifting your weight forwards and back. Now what we're going to be doing here, this time, is settling down, bending the front knee, and folding forwards. And we're going to be twisting from here. So the first thing you need to do is back leg is straight, front knee is bent. Have a look at your feet. Both feet are pointing forwards. And then we can be resting our forearm or our hands on our front leg. So this other hand comes onto the back of the pelvis. I'm not saying right and left. So you've got, that's it. You're going to be turning towards your back leg. So the back leg hand on your pelvis, and you can start to turn here a little bit. leaving your pelvis behind, turning towards back leg side. And you can then release your bottom arm towards the floor. That bottom arm could hang, and the top arm could reach up towards the ceiling. And just have a few breaths here in this twist, and I'll just have a little look at you. That's it, Siobhan. Your top arm's going a bit further back than it needs to. Does that make sense? See if you can bring it up. Yeah, bring it up more immediately over your shoulder. That's it. Good. Very nice. Rashmi, you could let the bottom arm hang if you like down to the floor. That's it. Lovely. Good. So this is about, yes, and then untwist and just flop forwards. So this pose is about, it is a bit of a balance, even though we have 2 feet on the floor. So we're trying to be as steady as we possibly can. Sink down into your heels, roll up into standing. We'll swivel on our feet, so ball of the back foot, heel of the front foot, back to face the long edge of your mat. And then turning all the way round, heel of the front foot, ball of the back foot to face the other end of your mat. And just here, a little bit of settling, yeah? So look at your feet. Rashmi, if you're a bit wobbly, make sure you've got your hip width distance sideways. So if your feet are very narrow, that distance between them, like you're on a tightrope, that is going to make you more wobbly. So, you know, that applies to all of us. And then we're going to be coming into this position where our back leg is straight, our front knee is bent, we're folding forwards, we're resting our hands or even our forearm on that front leg thigh. And this is the place to just try and be steady and settled, yeah? Because if we're feeling wobbly here, as we start to twist, we're going to feel even more wobbly. So sort of steady and quiet here. And then let your back leg hand come onto the back of your pelvis. So we're starting to turn towards the back leg side. But we're just trying to keep very quiet in the pelvis and the legs. We can release our bottom arm to the ground. It could hang, or the fingertips could touch very lightly on the ground. And the top arm could grow up towards the ceiling. Can we feel steady here? Yeah? That's our sort of number one intention, is to feel very steady through the legs. Quiet, good. Good, a couple of breaths in this twist, and then you can untwist and flop forwards over your front leg. And then from here, let a breath come in as you exhale, sink down into your footprints, come back up into standing, and then swivel on the heel of your front foot, the ball of your back foot back to face the centre. Maybe just have a little shake out now, because I'm going to show you the sort of last thing we're doing in this, or maybe the last thing in this sequence. So we're going to come back to where we were, this folded forward position. And from here, we move into half moon pose. So you could move from here, from your twist, and be taking this back leg off the ground. Yeah, but that is quite challenging. It can make you feel quite wobbly. So what I was going to suggest, by all means you can do that, but I was also going to suggest you come to here. You may need some books under your fingertips so that you can bring your back leg up with both hands on the floor. And then, then it might be that this arm comes up. So it's up to you. If you felt very steady here and were happy at this point to bring your back leg up, by all means. But if it's better for you to have both lots of fingers on the floor, then you can do that, okay? And again, if you need something like a book or a block under your fingertips. So it's not necessarily at all how far you go into this balance. It's just about that possibility of bringing the back leg off the ground. So from the centre, you're swiveling around to face your first side, so both feet facing forwards. And our starting position is with the front knee bent. And then from here, you can decide whether you want to just have one hand on the floor, the other hand on your pelvis, or whether you want to have both lots of fingertips on the floor. And so what we're doing from here is to bring the back leg off the floor. We need to bend the front knee more, I think. to see if we can find our balance. And then we have to straighten that front knee without locking. And maybe then our top arm can grow up towards the ceiling. And then maybe then we can look forwards rather than down. Very well done, everyone. Lots of challenges in this one. Go on, Rashmi, you can give it a go. That's it, exactly, yes. Yes, well done, well done. Good. So if you find this challenging and you've got some wall space, you can always do this with your back against the wall, yeah? If you like, when you come onto side 2. And so when you've done side 1, you can swivel around, you can try the same thing on side 2. So remember, as with all balances, you know, we probably spend more time preparing the groundwork, preparing the base than we do actually in the balance. So our base, our groundwork is this position, 1 foot stepped forwards, that front knee bent. And then we have 1 lot of fingers on the floor, or we have 2 lots of fingers on the floor. And to get the back foot off the floor, we need to bend the front knee more so we can sink our weight into our front foot. Remember, when your back leg has come off the ground, you need to really have your brain in your back heel. If your back heel is wandering around, that is what's likely to make you fall over. So you're just reaching back behind you, back towards the back down to the end of your mat through your back heel. All the time, feel that you really have your brain in your back heel. Good. And these things are, as we know, little by little. So yes, even if we just touch on it, good. And then we come out, well done. Very nice, have a little shake out. So the last thing we're doing here is coming back into 1 more wide forward bend. So again, facing the long edge of your mat, taking your feet wide apart, comfortably wide, sinking into your heels. And then 1 more time, we fold forwards, letting the head go, letting the arms go. Feeling our weight going down through our heels, through the outer edges of our feet, down in our wide forward bend. That's it, very nice, good, good, lovely, lovely. And then from here you can sink into your heels, you can come back up into standing. And then bring your feet back in towards each other. And just come back to a bit of your loose swinging twist to let all of that go. So it might be that when I think I mentioned when I do the classes in my garden, that 3rd week in August, we do a bit of moon salute as well as sun salute. It sort of depends really on who's there. A couple more times swinging your arms, and then we're going to go to the end of our mats and we're going to come down through a forward bend, dog pose, and into child pose, and just have a little bit of coming back to our breath there. So I thought it might be nice to move down as if in sun salute, so at the back of your mat. If you're in a forward bend already, that's fine. At the back of your mat, hands in prayer pose, you can let a breath come in, you can exhale, take your arms down and then up. Let the breath come in, exhale, roll down into a forward bend. And then it's just very much in your own time. Spend as long as you like in forward bend. Go on into dog pose when you're ready. Spend as long as you like in dog. And then, that's it, as long as you like in dog pose. And then when you come out of dog pose, you've got a choice. You can go into a forward, from dog pose, you can go into child pose, or kneeling, or lying on your belly. So whichever of those is most, you like the best. So when you come out of dog pose, child pose, kneeling or lying on your belly. And we're just going to come back to our quiet breathing again for a few cycles of breath. So wherever you are, whether it's child pose or kneeling or lying on your belly, come back to breathing in. I know I am breathing in. Breathing out. I know I am breathing out. So particularly if we're in kneeling, we close our eyes. We try to feel the movement of the breath in our body. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Let's have 2 more cycles of breath. And then we're going to be coming to move in a little sequence with pinwheels. So I think if you've had your knees bent, it would probably be good to come and sit with your legs long for a moment. So lean back on your hands and lengthen your legs out in front of you. If you're lying on your belly, then it's not quite so crucial because your legs are long anyway. And then from here, we're going to, again, it's a bit of a theme for the day, facing the long edge of our mat. We're going to bring our feet into cobbler pose. And just, we will maybe stay a little bit longer in cobbler pose between our sides of pinwheel, but just see how it feels to start with. And then you're going to let one knee come on top of the other knee and slide your top leg back. So I thought for a little bit of variety, we would do some twisting movements in pinwheel. So you're going to start by leaning. So this knee that's going out to the side, you're going to lean onto that hand and you let your whole of yourself lean. So your weight is going to be more through this leg. And then we start off just tracing a little circle with our fingertips from our back foot to this supporting arm. And as you turn, you're allowing your pelvis to come along. Okay, so this is sort of stage 1. Then we can make that turning a little bit more. We can slap our hands, I always like this bit, slap yourself on the back of your shoulder, on your back. Do this. And remember, we're turning towards this supporting arm. We're letting the pelvis come along, yeah? The only thing that's not really moving that much is our legs, but our weight is shifting more into this leg, the leg we're turning towards. Now, when the hand comes here, we can then see how is it to lean into the arm and let the pelvis come up. Yeah. And then come back again. Try that again. Swing your arm round, slap yourself on your back, lean into your hand, let your pelvis come up. Good. And then there's one more stage. Let's swing the arm round again. Lean into the arm, let the pelvis come up, and then take your arm up to the ceiling and follow your fingertips with your gaze. And then come all the way down, hand back onto your shoulder all the way down, and then all the way back in. We'll do it twice more. Hand onto the back of your shoulders, sink into your arm, the pelvis comes up, follow your fingertips up to the ceiling, and then back down. So one last time, hand onto your shoulder, sink into your arm, your pelvis comes up, follow your fingertips up to the ceiling. And then this time when you come down, you're going to fold forwards into your pinwheel forward bend and have a couple of breaths there. And just settle down into the pinwheel forward bend. Very nice smell, lovely. So this pinwheel movement can just feel quite nice and free and opening through the front of the body. Have have another breath or two in your pinwheel forward bend, enjoying this sort of familiar, quiet place. And then walking your hands in towards you. It's all gone a bit dark. Try and get a bit lighter here, a bit dark here. Sliding your back leg on top of your front leg, open your legs out into cobbler pose. And just see how it feels to be in cobbler pose. Maybe we could do a little bit of rocking from side to side. So we've been moving quite a lot today, but I was sort of thinking on a rather what would I say, grey Monday morning. I think it's good to just get that feeling of movement, a flow of energy through the body. So from cobbler pose, let's move on into side 2 of pinwheel. So let this knee come on top of the other knee. Just slide your top leg back. Settle in your pinwheel. So again, we're going to lean into the knee that's coming out to the side. We're going to lean onto that arm. And we let all of our weight shift onto this leg. And then we can start this little, first of all, the fingertips from the back toes to the supporting hand. Can we draw a little bit of a circle? Doesn't really matter if the fingertips are on the floor or just sort of skimming the floor or not even touching the floor. Good. And then from the back toes to slap ourselves on our back. And think as we're doing so, we're turning towards the supporting arm. Yeah, so turning towards the supporting arm. Good. And then let's see if we keep our hands on our shoulder, can we sink into the supporting arm, let the pelvis come up, and then come back down again. So we all know where we're going on this side. So you can slap yourself on the back of your shoulder, sink down in your supporting arm, and then let the top arm come up and let your gaze follow your fingertips. And come down again. And repeat this a couple more times. Hand on the back of the shoulder, sink down into your arm, let your gaze come up, follow your fingertips. I'm just going to come and have a little bit of a look. So do that once or twice more if you like. Good, that's nice. Good, lovely. Oh, wonderful, looks fabulous. Really, really lovely. Amazing. And then we come down, you can do it once more if you like, otherwise coming down, back into pinwheel and then folding forwards over this thigh, giving the weight of your body down to the ground. Letting the breath come in, letting the breath leave you. So just have a few quiet breaths, feeling the movement of your breath in your body. Then you can walk your hands in towards you and lean back on your hands and lengthen your legs out. So we're not going to be here for long. You could just lengthen your legs out, give them a little roll. If you like taking your legs long and wide, you could take them long and wide for a moment. So it's really up to you whether you have your legs, just long and you roll them, or whether you want to take them wide. And what we're going to do now is just a little bit of sitting and breathing with a little bit more of this Thich Nhat Hanh meditation. And then we're going to lie down, do a little bit of a twist and do a bit more in lying. So you need to find a comfortable sitting position now. You could have your back against, as I always say, against the sofa or your bed, whatever, or the wall. You could be sitting. You could be sitting cross-legged. You could be kneeling. If you want to have your legs long and wide, long and wide is nice for me, but have your back against the sofa maybe. So. Or you sit, if you want to sit with if you want to sit with your legs long and wide, just have your back against that sofa and then you can do that. Or if you've got your back against the sofa or the wall, make sure your pelvis is right up against that wall. Good. Clunky old knee here. So what we're going to do, I think, when we do this little bit of sitting is I'm going to ring the bowl. I'm going to give you the focus for your in and your out breath. And then we'll sit with that for a few cycles of breath. And then I'll ring the bowl and give you another focus. So it just keeps giving us something to focus on. And we've got 3 different little focuses we're going to sit with here. So it's not a huge amount. But if any point that you get uncomfortable in sitting, do feel you can change your sitting position, or you could even lie down. So I always like to do a bit of rocking or swaying to start with. So whatever helps you to settle. And I think you could be resting your hands palms up or palms down on your thighs. So I'm going to ring the bowl and I'm going to give us the first little focus. So it'll be familiar. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. In, out. Breathing in, my breath grows deep. Breathing out, my breath goes slowly. So breathing in, my breath grows deep. Breathing out, my breath goes slowly. So breathing in deep, breathing out slow. Breathing in, my breath grows deep. Breathing out, my breath goes slowly. So this is our last little focus. When I ring the bowl at the end of this, it will be time to lie down. But just for the next half a dozen or so cycles of breath, aware of my body, I breathe in. Relaxing my body, I breathe out. So breathing in, aware of the body. Breathing out, relaxing the body. So aware of the body, I breathe in. Relaxing my body, I breathe out. Just for a couple of more cycles of breath. Then in your own time, make your way into lying down on the ground. And we're going to have your cushion to hand, because we're going to do a little bit of little floor twist, and then we're going to come back to the rest of this meditation lying down. So when you arrive on your back, bend your knees and stand your feet on the floor. And just take a moment to feel the back of your body in contact with the ground. And when you're ready, you can start to let your knees tilt to the right and to the left. And see how it feels to revisit this movement that we did right at the beginning of class. So I was talking in some of my classes last week about how in yoga we do some really familiar things, and there's something soothing about them. Lots of that was one of the things, is the familiar things are soothing. And then when we do something less familiar, it perhaps, captures our imagination. So we want this balance between soothing and inspiring. But certainly at the end, soothing is good. And then from tilting your knees from side to side, fold your knees into your chest. Nigel, maybe do this, see how you feel. Fold your knees into your chest, and then bring your elbows down onto the floor beside your body, but keep your hands up in the air. So your hands are either side of your knees, that's it. And then you're going to rock your knees from side to side into your hands. Mel, with your knees folded into your chest, this one, that's it. Good. So that's it, good. You're rocking your knees from side to side into your hands. So your knees are folded into your chest. Your hands are either side of your knees. You're rocking your knees a little bit from side to side. So the shoulders are staying very settled here. And then you could take this one a little bit further by wrapping one arm around the back of your thighs, supporting your legs with one arm, and the other arm comes out on the floor at shoulder height. And then you're keeping your shoulders settled, and you're taking your knees down to the floor, away, towards other way, Nigel, with the knees. The knees are going down in the opposite direction to the arm that's on the floor at shoulder height. Now, it might be that you need your cushion to support either your bottom knee or in between your knees. That's it. And if the cushion's not big enough, just fold it in half, because you want to keep the feeling of the shoulder. So the knees are down on one side, the shoulder's down on the other. You want that shoulder to be settled on the floor. And the knees are settled on the other side. And you might want to have a couple of big sighing breaths. Good. And Rashmi, you can take your arm out from under your legs if you like at that point. Yes, and you could, that's it, you could rest your hand on top of your, that's on top of your top knee. That's it. So it just sort of encourages the knee to, or the thigh. That's nice. Yeah. You might find you want to bring your feet forwards a little bit on the floor. That might make you feel a bit more relaxed. Yeah. Have a play around. Yeah. They don't need to stay together. Good. Good. So once you're in the twist, it is about how can you settle the most effectively on the floor. So, you know, any little adjustments you need to make in your body are absolutely fine to help you settle. And whenever you want to, you can bring your knees back to the center. Have a couple of breaths in the center, and then you can do the other side of the twist. So you're going to bring your arm around the back of your knees, or just support your knees, the arm that was on the floor last time. And the other arm is on the floor at shoulder height. Keeping your knees close to your chest, as close to your chest as you can. Taking the knees down towards the floor on the other side now. Good. And again, remember, you might need your cushion under your bottom knee or between the two knees, so that we feel we can give the weight of the legs to the floor. We can give the weight of the opposite shoulder to the floor. We can be heavy and relaxed. So have another couple of breaths in, another 2 or 3 or 4 breaths in this second side of the twist. And just whenever you feel that you want to come back to the center, sometimes these twists you feel that you want to stay in them, sometimes actually you don't want to stay in them so long. I know that's how it is for me. So whenever it feels right for you, you can come back to the center. You might like to take your legs up to the ceiling. You might just like to sort of lie quietly with your knees folded into your chest. And then we're going to settle down, and I'm going to come to these. There's 3 more focuses in this Thich Nhat Hanh meditation. So we'll come to these. I'm not going to ring the singing bowl, because I'd like you, I will ring it at the end. I'd like you to be able to relax. So if you drift off now, that's absolutely fine. But I will give you these 3 focuses spaced out, just to help you come back to your body and come back to your breathing. So settling down either with your knees bent or your legs long. Might be nice to let your head roll a little bit on the floor. Yes, very nice blanket there, Mel. That's what it is. So this first focus from Thich Nhat Hanh is calming my body, I breathe in. Caring for my body, I breathe out. So I think if there's any things, little movements that help you to settle, help you to calm your body, help you to care for your body, then you do those. As you settle, then that focus, as you breathe in, calming my body, I breathe in. Caring for my body, I breathe out. And then smiling to my body, I breathe in. Easing my body, I breathe out. So when you're smiling to your body as you breathe in, you could actually smile. You don't have to, but we all know that when we smile, the muscles in our face relax. Smiling to my body, I breathe in. Easing my body, I breathe out. And easing is such a wonderful word. It suggests what it means, that sense of, just settling, releasing, easing. And then our final focus, smiling to my body, I breathe in. So keeping on with that smiling to our body, smiling to ourselves, I breathe in. Releasing the tensions in my body, I breathe out. Smiling to my body, I breathe in. Releasing the tensions in my body, I breathe out. So thank you everyone. I'm going to unmute you or unmute yourselves.
Thank you. Have a lovely day, everyone.
Oh, thank you, Rosie. Take care, lovely. Bye.
Say hello to Kara.